Chemistry Room Fragrances is the perfect addition when elevating the vibe of any space. Whether if it's your home, car, or office, and something needs a quick refresh, our room fragrances provide that beautiful burst of fragrance with just one quick mist. Shop now at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Chemistry Room Fragrances. Smells so good. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, Press, what's going on?
Good. What's good, sis?
Great, bro. It's great seeing you again. First of all, thank you for taking so much time out of your busy schedule just to sit down and talk with me. I really, really appreciate it. So, I think the last time I saw you was Dallas at Jalen's party. And
Yeah,
first of
yeah.
all, Jay knows how to throw, like, that party was
The
everything.
best party. He needed to expand to party planning, party
Man,
promoting.
yeah, it was
Like,
like chef's kiss. It was
yeah,
everything. It was absolutely everything. It was beautiful. It was elegant. It was just everything you wanted to be. And I agree. He
yeah.
definitely needs to think about um grand event planning or something,
Oh,
like just
oh
something.
God, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was really cool. So yeah. And you're in Savannah now, right?
Well, I'm like an hour outside of Savannah, but yeah, in that little metroplex between Savannah and Jacksonville in Georgia.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So you're on the coast getting the crab cakes, the shrimp and grits, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
And the
what?
hurricanes.
Yeah. So are you guys good? I forgot about that right now. With does Nicole? So are you guys safe right now, or
Yeah, we straight. I'm pretty inland, so I get the rain, but I'm not
okay?
gonna get much of the hurricane. So we good.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So first of all, I want to know about the adjustment from going from Dallas to like Southern Georgia. I know that would have been like a major, major switch.
Yeah, like from just it's not as convenient for
Hmm.
sure. Like I don't have no DoorDash or Ubers and things
What?
like that, but it also is like a big culture shock.
Yeah.
But what I will say about Georgia,
Hmm.
or at least just the area I'm in, like
Okay.
people are so much less entitled, really appreciative, really good people. I've It's been growing on me heavy, especially since you know me, I'm gonna get my business popping wherever I am. So
Yeah.
now that my businesses are up and running in Georgia, I'm meeting so many great people. I'm surrounded by amazing people. So it's definitely growing on me. So I'm glad that I made that switch, but I do miss home
Yeah.
sometimes. But yeah, I got to get with the lingo here. Sometimes I can't
Okay.
really
So what's
talk
up
it
with
too
the
fast.
lingo?
I don't know. I don't even know what they're saying.
Oh, they talk kind of fast.
They talk, man. I had some kids come to the gym the other day, and I had to ask him what he said 5 times. I was like, "Well, I don't know what you said. I don't know what you just said to
That
me."
that Carolina draw is something else. Like
Yeah, they talk just like little baby out here. You don't know what they saying.
what? Wow. Okay. But my thing is, so I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and so you have the South, but then there's pockets of the South, and like you were mentioning, like entitlement. I think because maybe Dallas is more of a metropolitan area and there's a lot of people
Yeah.
from different parts versus
Yeah.
once you get into like the Carolinas or the deeper South, what I call your local homegrown people.
Hmm.
And so some of them I feel like came from less, and there's nothing, to deter tear them down or be condescending,
Yeah.
but maybe the beginnings were a little more humble, and
Right.
just the smaller communities, and so you don't have that level of entitlement as you would from larger cities because of more millennials and things like that, or
Yeah.
postgraduate students moving in. So I get
You,
it for
you spot
sure.
on. You spot on. Like even on the from the basketball side of things, like
Hmm.
me growing up in Dallas, I was I grew up like a professional player at
Right.
5 years old
Oh
on. We play in
wow.
the best facilities.
Mm.
Because it's Dallas, we got the best facilities, we got the best like trainers and all of that.
Yeah.
So we grow up so entitled thinking that we're better than what we really are. Whereas like an area like this, or just the deep South period, the coastal South period,
Hmm.
they don't have, there's not a lot of that here. So they
Yeah.
don't grow up with that entitlement, and they're not, when somebody brings something that's like, state of the art, it's they're appreciative because
Yeah.
they didn't grow up with it. Whereas we in Dallas, we so used to it, we like, you know what I'm saying? So we just grow up
Yeah.
with a
I
sense of
think
entitlement.
so. Yeah, I agree. And I think because Texas is, Friday Night Lights, it's football country, it's
Oh yeah,
cowboy country, NBA, there's a lot of sports, the Spurs, all that going on. So yeah, sports is ingrained in the culture
for sure.
of Texas, period. So I agree with that.
Yep, yep.
Cool. So we're gonna get hop right into everything. First of all, I want to welcome everybody. What's up, everybody? This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. We have an amazing show for you guys tonight. Be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at Camille.Essick. I have my culture friendly Christmas cards are available on my Etsy store. You can buy them and download them. Bundles are out, and I will be releasing more single purchases over the weekend. But they are for us because I really feel like we need more representation in the holiday card industry. We don't see enough of that. And so I was like, hey, let me try my hand at it and give us some more holiday cards. And later on, I will be expanding that to Valentine's Day anniversaries and things like that. But because Christmas is so close, I wanted to start out with Christmas and New Year's, and trust me, if you go check them out, they're really, really cute. And then, of course, good black men still exist because why? All of them are not bad. We have a good brother right here tonight. We're going to sit down and talk with Prescott. So be sure to go to gbmofficial.com and shop with me there. If you use the coupon code GBM15, you can save 15% at the checkout. And follow us on Instagram at Good Black Men Official, and shop Chemistry Room Fragrances, lots of stuffers. So my aromatherapy room sprays are there right now. And we're gonna hop into everything. There's the link for my Etsy store. We can go and grab um, so if you follow me on TikTok, a lot of the things I purchased under the blue bougie black girl files, because pretty girls like pretty things. So you can shop on my storefront, and the things I purchase, you can purchase those things too. So Prescott is here, and we're gonna sit down and have a great conversation. First of all, Prescott's been riding with the Speaker Podcast since season one. Let's start there. And
Got to
he
throw a
still
party
has
for my
one of,
day ones.
yeah. Khalil knocked you out of the number one spot, but you're still number two. Like the Bryson Tiller episode, the Tiller effect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That yeah. So and Seals was on the week before last, so we kind of brought that up, and I was like, man, if I get Seals and Prescott on and have the both of you guys kind of have that conversation. So I was like, I wonder if Press will be down for that. So I was like, I'm gonna ask him. So
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure, for
yeah,
sure.
we'll have to do that in 23. So with that being said, Prince, those that are not familiar with you, let the listeners and viewers know who you are and a little bit about what you do.
So I am a serial entrepreneur. Been an entrepreneur all my life. 31 years old now. Um, Black father, black husband, and I work in the sports industry, so I'm a sports professional. I like to say sports agent. I own a professional basketball team, a couple of professional basketball teams now, my own gym. Um, and so, yeah, I'm just, like I said, a sports entrepreneur, young father, and husband. So life has gotten a lot simpler for me. And like my titles, I'm an entrepreneur, wife, and husband. That's me. That's my life.
That's what's up.
Or husband, or
I was like,
husband
now, come on now.
and father.
Now I know
I'm
what
an
you mean.
entrepreneur, husband, and father. My fault.
Got you. So I knew about when I met you, it was just the Dallas Skyline. So what other team do you have now?
So I brought a team to Georgia. So I own the Coastal Georgia Buccaneers.
Okay.
Brand new team. We're starting our inaugural season in 2023 in March. So a lot of great things, happening with this team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about it. Excited about what it brings to this area and how it helps this area out. So
That's what's up. And I would love to support. So when the games start going, let me know. I'll drop down and show up at a
now
game.
you don't have to. We play a team in Charlotte. There's a team in Charlotte that we
Okay.
play against.
Well, let
So
me know when you guys come here and I'll come.
for sure, I will.
I'm serious. I'll show up.
We play in Fayetteville, Raleigh, and Charlotte. We have 3 teams in the Carolinas.
Oh, nice. That is so. Yeah, I definitely will come to a game. So, and just to hop off into everything. So, just a recap. When I started doing this, and I was like, man, who could I get? And just talking to Press offline, and I was like, I wonder if he would come on my show. And I didn't have that many subscribers or followers then. And he was like, oh, yeah, sis, I got you. And so before we just get into anything, I just have to give you your flowers and just say thank you for supporting and rocking with me from day one. Before it was really like popping, because I didn't even have like all the visual effects. We were just like,
I saw the commercials. I said, ooh.
It was just audio. So I was like, I had to introduce you right because I'm like, you rock with me from day one. So I had to do your little intro for you, let you know we really, really, I appreciate you, period. I just wanted you to know that.
For sure. Anytime, all the time, every time.
For sure. Thank you. So we're going to hop right into everything, Press. So this episode is all because you tweeted a tweet, right? This is from a tweet that you tweeted on the Twitter. So we're going to talk about it. As all people say, they put D on everything on the Twitter.
On the Twitter, yeah.
On the Twitter. Yeah, so I don't want to misquote you, but maybe I'm just going to try to paraphrase it. But you were like, a man's emotion is not cared for enough. We're not handled with the empathy and understanding that we need to be willing to be fully liberated in our emotions. Is that about right?
Well, that's a word right there. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
So let's unpack this. Like, where did this tweet come from? Like, where are you in your mind when this came about? Like, take us there.
I'm gonna be honest. I was in the middle of a argument with my wife. But it just had me thinking about a broad scope of men and women and just mental health, all encompassing. So basically what that tweet is saying is that we're implored to, as men, to like share our emotions, right? But when we do, we're not always handled with the and with the understanding and the empathy, meaning like no one takes the time to or when we're expressing ourselves, you got to really take the time to try to feel us. That's what empathy is, right? Try to feel what we're feeling, not try to invalidate what we're feeling. And then with that empathy, we're not getting that empathy and understanding for us to even be free. Like, we don't feel free to necessarily express ourselves, even if we could be the most emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature man out there. But if we're not given a space to really be free to express that, then it's not going to come out. We're going to hold it in. So that tweet was just me saying we got to have some type of environment or space to truly be liberated in our emotions, or we're not going to be emotional.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why when I started this show, I opened it up to the fellas because I was just out of the blue. I was like, wait a minute, guys don't have a space, particularly black men don't have a space to express themselves or unpack some things. And I was like, well, let me open my platform. I know it may not be popular. And even with the Good Black Men, merch, just
Yeah.
as as an ally for the brothers to say, I'm here willing to open my door that we can sit down and have conversations about what you go through and your feelings and mental health and things like that. And so I'm attempting to manifest some form of empathy because I think more women will learn more
Right.
and how to communicate in a relationship if they just kind of listen and ask the questions and then allow you to unpack those things. So
Yeah, and I don't always think it's in malice. Like, I don't
mhm.
think there's a bunch of women attempting to not show empathy, right? I think
Right,
it's natural for a woman to show empathy. I just don't think a lot of times they know how, like, because it is hard. Like, how it's a difficult, from human to human. I can empathize with you, right? You
mhm.
go and hit your knee on the corner of a desk. I can empathize with how that feels, right? Because we're human. That has nothing to do with man, woman, child, adult. Like, that pain is the same pain, right? So it's easier for me to empathize with you. But as men, a lot of times when women have emotions, we're expected to validate and empathize with your female emotion, right? And we have to gain that skill. I don't always feel like there's the sense of urgency to gain the skill on the other side. So where, you know, you're not a man, I'm not a woman, but if we're together as your man, I need to be able to figure out how to, validate your feelings. But as a woman, there's not the urgency to also figure out how to validate my feelings from a man's perspective, right?
Right.
So I don't think it's always something that is intentional. I just think it's more difficult for a woman to try to figure out how to empathize with the man's feelings from a man's perspective
Mhm.
than it is a man to try to figure that out. And we still don't figure it out either, but we,
Yeah.
we have to try in order to,
Yeah.
keep you happy. So,
Yeah. I think for women, just what I'm observing is because they've experienced so much hurt and trauma from previous relationships, they're so focused on making sure that doesn't happen to me again that sometimes the guy gets left out of the process. And it's like, well, wait, he has the same fears just like you do. And
right.
so, how do I, and I say I meaning women,
Yeah, yeah,
speaking euphorically, but how do women or I or we or however you want to, what pronoun you want to use, but how do we collectively pause and say, wait a minute, this is a process and a journey we need to learn and work out together, and to sit down and have conversations like this to
right.
say, oh, wait a minute, well, how? And so, me personally, particularly during the pandemic, I started, well, even with the podcast, I think was the domino that fell for me because
Yeah,
when I think you're one of the first guys I had on the show, and having those conversations with you on and offline, it started kind of, I started thinking like, well, wait a minute. And so I started picking up some books and reading. And there's one book, I can't remember the name of it. I have it over there. But it was talking about for men how respect equates to love. And then read how the author worded it. And I was like, oh, I never thought about that concept in that way as
yeah.
far as how a woman looks at love versus how a man equates respect to love,
Hmm.
and reading, and that's when I was like, And so then having you back and then doing Heart and Soul and having other brothers on here, it just really made me more curious into um, the psychology of how men are thinking as far as in a relationship and communication,
Yeah.
and how men, particularly black men, in some ways are kind of being shut out on the emotional need because it's all focused on her needs, but it's like, but what does he need?
Right. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like from it's not like black men are the most uh suppressed emotionally because
Yeah,
black
I'm only
women
speaking about what I know because I hadn't,
yeah.
been
Like
anywhere else. But
well black women have to do with I sometimes have it worse. Most times have it worse, because
Mhm.
we do the same thing to black women as a whole
Culture,
world,
yeah,
right?
society, yeah.
Um but even like we all think different. So even going back to that conversation that we first had about just a male's perspective on the
Mhm.
Bryson Tiller effect, right? And that's
That
like a
was
PMAC
funny.
original.
I mean, I love that conversation.
It's a PMAC original, but it was just me thinking like, okay, in this man's music, like how many times are just even me back then, how many times am I this woman's Bryson Tiller, right? And like, my quote in that interview was every woman got a Bryson Tiller in their phone. And it's factual. Like there's it's no matter how you could be that woman like, no. And what I mean by a Bryson Tiller in your phone, like every woman has that person in their phone that if all stuff hits the fan, they can text that person and that person will be at their door like that, right? No matter what. Like if they gave that energy to that man, they would be there, right? And most women have multiple Bryson Tillers in their phone. No matter what, there is somebody that if you broke down, like you upset with your man, you break up with your man, you're single, and you need some type of company, there's somebody you can call, right then and there. Every woman has that person in their phone. Well, it's hard for women to hear that from a man's perspective because I know, like, I've been that. So, like, you can't tell me that you don't have that person because I
Because we
was
don't
that
believe
person.
that.
Yeah,
Because we're like, nobody calls me, nobody texts me,
right.
nobody's in my DM, my phone is dry. And I'm
Exactly.
like, I don't get asked out. Like women say these things. So for you to
Right.
say that, we're like,
Yeah.
whatever.
But if you go through your contacts and it could be somebody that you don't think of consciously, but if you go through your contacts and you text that person, could be a bro, could just be like somebody you ain't never crossed that line with, right? But you text them and you say them words, come through. I guarantee you he's coming. And so it's tough to hear, but and like you hit it spot on. Like a lot of times it's not like I'm not saying that every woman cheats. I'm not saying every woman is like has the hole in them or anything like that. It's just a literal fact because your DMs can be dry. Your phone could be dry. You might not talk to nobody. You might not think of nobody. But if you did, he's already in your phone. You don't have to go look far. And that's my only point.
Yeah, I gotta get you on with Seals on this because I'm just like, what? I still don't believe it, but okay.
Yeah.
So going back to the whole empathy statement. So um what are some ways or what are some things women can do to exercise more empathy or try to be more empathetic to even start this journey on
Yeah.
tapping into your emotional needs as far as being more comfortable to be liberal.
All right. Um, I think accountability is a number one thing. So
Mhm.
like, I think one of the toughest things for a lot of women is to take that. Like if I'm saying you're making me feel a certain way, take that accountability. Even if you don't believe it, even if you don't think so, that's part of being empathetic, right? I am feeling it. You're not feeling it. I'm feeling it. These are my feelings. So if I say I'm feeling a certain way, and you're making me feel that way, or you're causing that feeling, like accept that. Don't defend it, accept it, right? That's number one. And then figure out like what is it. So then accepting it, and then trying to get an understanding of what is it that is making, what's the root. Because I think one of the big differences between men and women is a lot of times when a woman expresses their feelings, and like you're telling me I'm causing some type of emotion, you don't really want me to fix it, you don't really want the solution, you just want me to acknowledge it, right? But most times we want you to acknowledge the solution, like find the solution, because we're solution driven, we're fact driven, right? So if I tell you like I'm expressing this emotion, and this is something that you're doing that's causing this emotion, and you've acknowledged that, or you've taken accountability for that emotion. Now you're trying to get an understanding. That understanding includes the solution. Like, hey, what am I doing? What is the root of this? And what am I doing that starts this? And then how can I make it up? How can I fix it? Right. And then I think the third thing is then just I like anybody, change behavior. And every man wants reconciliation. So reconciliation can look different for whoever, and it's very easy to reconcile with a man. It's like after you do those two things, those first two things, and then you make it up to him in whatever capacity that is, it's usually done. It's usually a wrap. Like, but and then next time I feel free that I can come to you and I can say, babe, you made me feel this way. Now we're starting like where I'm opening up about my emotions, right? Because you taking that initiative to make me feel liberated in the fact that I can come to you. But if you, on the flip of that, if I express myself and it starts, and mind you, all this can start an argument, but if we get to that in the first scenario, if we get to that point, then we're good. But if I express this emotion to you and you completely shut it down, or you completely get defensive, you never take accountability, you never really acknowledge that there's any validity in what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's no reconciliation for it. There may be some makeup, like we may get over it, but there's no reconciliation for the actual issue that I expressed, right? So if you do that, then next time I have a feeling, you think I'm gonna express it to you? No, because I want to stay peaceful. I don't want to get into another argument. I don't want to get into another spat. So I'm gonna keep that emotion in. I'm gonna have it's that happy wife, happy life syndrome. Like I'm going to suppress that because this might make you unhappy that I feel a certain way. So I'm not even gonna express it to you.
And that's the point I was going to get to, because as you were talking, Prez, I was thinking, well, if that is the case, then that's a piece of his heart that he's going to lock away. And then she's like, well, why isn't he talking anymore? And you're like, well, what's wrong? He's like, well, nothing. And she knows something's wrong, but because he's locked that part of him and it keeps happening, he's going to find somebody else he can talk to without, and it can open the door for so much. So I'm
Right.
glad you brought that point up. Because I was having a conversation with another guy about this kind of, and he used the analogy of like in the relationship, as the woman, you're supposed to be his vault or his safe place that he can come to you and talk, and then it's not weaponized or thrown up in his face later, but we can have that vulnerability without judgment or fear of retaliation,
Right.
but it's a safe space.
Yeah. Yeah. That's facts. And so like let me just throw out another scenario. Just if mind you, and this don't even have to be all relationship either. This
Mm-hmm.
can be at work, this can be with family, but you as a male, um I guess I'm trying to formulate my words. People getting canceled these days.
Oh, I
But
mean, I know where your heart is on that.
yeah,
So if anything comes up, I got your back. So
um, but let's just say like there's an emotion expressed, and you like it's received, um it's not received well, and like you said, you've now I've locked that part away, right? And I'm not fully expressing to you. But a woman has intuition, right? God gave women intuition that we don't necessarily have. So you know something's up with me, right?
hmm
But I'm not expressing it. I'm not sharing, right?
right.
Um Now when there is an argument and you have a problem, now I end up invalidating you because you come at me with an issue, and all I can think of is the issue I've been holding on to. So
Mm,
I bring that up to you, and now I just invalidated your whole issue because my issue never got addressed, and because now we're upset, I'm bringing my issue up, and it's completely making your issue null and void, and now we're just clashing, right? That is, it just starts, it starts a domino that is just a slippery slope.
mm,
So luckily, I had this conversation after my tweet. I've had this conversation
mm,
with my wife, and we got through it. Like, it just takes a conversation and just
mm.
being able to sit and talk, um and getting stuff out. And it is, once you get to the point where you feel like you can say what you need to say, and
Mhm.
you can express what you need to express, you'll literally get whatever you want out of that man. Like, you can literally get whatever. If he's emotionally liberated, you will be in your emotions will be in bliss, right? I can take on everything you give me because I'm free. I'm free from any burden. I've already laid my burdens down. You've already addressed them, and now I have no issue. So now, when you have an issue, because a man's gonna annoy that woman a lot more than vice versa. So now that you have an issue, now I'm free. I can hear you. I can apologize. I can validate. I can acknowledge. I can address, and I can respect. And because I'm not holding on to anything, um, and vice versa. It works both ways. So then now, when you are liberated and free from emotion, when I have something that I'm expressing, you're not holding on to anything. So now we're not bumping heads.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times people communicate, um, with their own agenda,
Mhm.
and it could be, there has to be like a sender and a receiver. And I think both parties try to be senders. If
Mhm.
I'm trying to send my emotion or my point to you, and you trying to send your point to me, it don't work. One of us, like, we both can't have a point to make. It started somewhere. Somebody
Right.
started with the problem. We didn't have a problem at the same time. Somebody started with the problem. So if you started with the problem, why are we addressing a problem I got after
Mhm.
you got a problem? Let's address your problem, and then we can come back to a problem I may have had later after we addressed one. But us trying to work on both problems, and it's just going to cause issues.
Yeah. Because I think that's where the finger pointing comes in, because it's not even about the real issue. Now it's an ego thing, because now it's like, I don't want to be hushed or pushed to the
Yeah,
side, because I think that's an emotional trigger, because it happened maybe in a previous relationship. And so they bring that fear, air quotes, into it because they got shushed the last time and they got pushed to the side, or they feel like they were always the one giving
yeah,
and it was never reciprocated. So now it's like, no, never again. So I'm going to make sure I put my thing on the table first, because I'm going to make
right,
sure that I'm not ignored this time like I was last time.
yeah. You start to compete for emotional
Attention.
freedom.
Yeah, yeah. So to me, and I could be, correct me if I'm wrong, Prez, but shouldn't like that road of communication begin to be created or built when you're dating? Like, I would think so, because again, this culture now is different. It's like they do all these other things, and then when I start talking later, and they're like, "Well, I didn't know they were crazy," and it's like you skipped, everything else. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah,
just like, what happened to vetting this person first and talking to this
right.
person first, and what is their style of communication? And I don't mean like you're texting me paragraphs, but we're actually talking and
Yeah,
watching body language and listening to tone and inflection and going, oh, when he's nervous, maybe he rubs his head or his ears, like, and that, just the art of communication.
we in a generation of microwave relationships
Yeah.
instead of crock pot relationships, and like we want stuff to happen so fast. Um, I like at our age, and we have like in our 10 year generation age, 10 to 15 year generation age, from anybody that's 25 right now to 40 right now. We we are in that like group that we met somebody, we really liked them, and we moved in with them in maybe a year and a half. Then we got married to them, in maybe like, and even back up from that, and maybe like a 2 to 3 year span, right? But even back up from that, um, you become boyfriend and girlfriend like after a couple of dates. Now we exclusive. Like, okay, everything just happens really fast with us versus like maybe our parents' age, like they dated, and maybe that one date was on a Monday, and then they talked on the phone. They maybe met up a week and a half from then on a Wednesday, and then kept communication, wrote some letters, and then like a month went in on another day, and then like so their dating phase of just like it may be 3 months and they've only gone on 5 dates, right? For us, in 3 months, we have talked every day, seen each other on social media, we have been with each other every single day, and we've already slept with each other, in the first month. Like it just happens extremely fast for our generation. And then it becomes like detriment later because you really don't know, you haven't had enough time to like get out of the honeymoon stage. So when you do have your first argument may come like 6 months from now, but you've been with each other all this time and it's just been the honeymoon phase. And so when the first argument come, you don't realize you done already moved in with dude, and you don't realize that he got anger problems because his first argument didn't come, y'all's first conflict didn't come up till later down the line, but y'all done decided to move in together. And so now you stuck in a lease or whatever. And it just like all these things happen a lot faster than they should. And I think like you said, we need to vet each other a little bit more because we might not be compatible. We might, sex might be good. We might think each other's attractive. We might, have a good time because we both like Casamigos or whatever. But then, but, but,
It's Kool-Aid, Saints. Don't. I'm sorry. It's just a brand of water, Saints.
I've been on I've been on that Coromino lately, that Kevin Hart joint. But anyway, uh we don't get that time to like really learn if we are fully compatible. Do we have the same dreams? Do we have the same work ethic? Do we have the same like money money philosophies? Do we have the
Yeah.
same parenting philosophies? It's like a lot of couples that get together and never talk about how they're gonna raise their kids, and then they have kids, and then all of a sudden this person's disciplining the kid a way that's a trigger for this person, and y'all never talked about that, and now you stuck in a relationship where, or now you're bonded together, at least for 18 years, because, you know, y'all had a baby together, but you never discussed how you would parent. So
That's
I think
important.
we need crock pot
Yeah,
relationship.
I agree. I'm more of a roaster. Like, grandma pull out that blue roaster with the little
Mhm.
speckles on it. You knew what's going on.
And then marinated it before that for a
A
week.
couple nights before. Like, I'm a roaster slash crock pot type of person.
It's
It's
true.
like I need to see you in all your moods because I feel like what if he's um seasonal depression because maybe someone died and during Thanksgiving and Mother's Day and Christmas he is
Right.
sad, or what is that like, or is he a thought when around March, May he getting feeling feisty once that like I
Yeah.
need to see all your moods, or
Right.
you just want to call me starting the fall draft Labor Day weekend for cuffing season, which
Yeah.
I do not participate in cuffing season. I'm on the bench,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, you need to see how they're moving out here.
Yeah.
Um, are they selfish? How do they treat other people? Like, I need to see you in different environments. If we go out to
Right.
eat, are you rude to the server? Are you polite? Like, these little things are inkling, like you mentioned, also press conversation. So all these things are important. Um, and I'm in a point in my life now where I've had people try to give me ultimatums, and I'm just like, well, bye, because nothing is happening like that. I'm still getting to know you. First of
Right.
all, we're not married, so that's my thing. And it's just like, it's been bittersweet because it's filtered out a lot of people
Yeah.
because I'm a crock pot roaster type of girl, you know. But I'm hoping at some point it will pan out for me. But
Yeah.
I'm just and not even microwave. These people now they doing the air fryer, faster. Fryer. Still that air fryer, the
They
Instapot.
won't even
The Instapot.
they ain't even boiling they links no more. They
No, it's Instapot and the air fryer and like, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, me and my wife were together for about 7 years before we got married, and
Mhm.
even like within our first year of marriage, in rough times, I'll look at her and tell you, like, I'd rather have a rough 1 year,
Has
like
it been
rough.
7 years?
We've been together for 7 years.
Dang.
Yeah,
Time is moving. Like, I remember, never mind. Wow.
yeah. So
Dang.
the
Okay.
I told her, like, I'd rather have a rough, a short honeymoon stage and a rough first year and have a amazing rest of our life
Yeah.
than have amazing honeymoon stage and then divorced in 5 years, right?
Hmm.
So, that's just people got to go through those type of storms and have tough conversations, have tough times, and so that you can build that. It takes, like with the conversation we're having, it
Hmm.
takes very tough um gut punching conversations in order to be liberated, to be able to express your emotions, right? That's not an
Yeah.
easy thing. It's not, it's tough. That is why there is a mental health phenomenon going on, because
Hmm.
it's not something easy. If it was something easy, then we all would be, at therapists expressing ourselves, right? We'd
Yeah.
all be sitting on the couch with our feet up, sharing our emotions, but it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So you gotta go through that work.
No, it's good. I think conversations like this, my goal, I hope, is that it sparks conversations offline, for people that are married or in relationships to kind of revisit how they're communicating, or maybe even to sit down and say, man, I think we really need to like take a weekend and just maybe we order food and
Yeah.
like pillow talk or whatever, or they come visit or you go over there and talk or however your situation is. But maybe this will kind of open the door for people to kind of um, take inventory of their communication and make some changes and actively work together to do that. Maybe we can save a relationship or two, praise. I don't
You know
know.
what I'm saying? Maybe keep some people together today.
It's all love. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to spread the love.
Yeah.
But that's all, that's what's up. So I think this has been a great conversation. and this is a topic I want to continue to unpack with you and Seals. I've labeled this series Hemotions. This is Hemotions Part 4 because he has emotions too. So
Right.
I definitely want to continue this conversation with the both of you. It is my goal, as I mentioned before. Um, Maybe February is a good month to bring you and Seals on, and the three of us sit down and have a great chat about it, and just have both of you kind of chime in and kind of take the floor on this topic and just run with it. And the only reason why is because you and he, as far as how both of you have treated me, you've always respected my space, never, being crazy, and um, you're integral as far as your presentation of thought, and it's honest,
Yeah.
in a way where it's palatable, because I think sometimes, even though it's a hard pill to swallow, but you guys, you crush it to where we can take it,
Yeah.
and I
I
think
appreciate
that's
it.
what's important.
Now you need your flowers too, though, because again, there's not many platforms like this, and you are an ally, which with your brand, which I just ordered a shirt. Just I've got to click the buy button, but i
Oh,
need i need a shirt. But with your brand, and just we don't have that a lot. And so the way you give us a platform to express ourselves, it's cornering the market right now, and we appreciate that, because some of this stuff I can't get off. What I mean, I don't have the platform to get off, and I think about this stuff a lot, and a lot of times it does result to just a Twitter, a nice
yeah.
little Twitter
Yeah,
Twitter
but
chat.
anytime if there's something like you're like, man, I want to get this off, just hit me up. We can schedule something,
For
make
sure.
a note about it, and then we can just go from there. You can come to my living room, and
Yeah, yeah.
we can, this is like my couch, whatever, and
Right.
we can just have that conversation, and and have those conversations. I think is very important, um, that you all do have the space, and I do want to continue to be an ally and push the merchandise, but it's not just a shirt or a mug or whatever. There's definitely a message behind it.
Right.
And I'm going to keep saying it, and somebody's going to listen. So
Yeah.
hopefully it will help somebody out here, and that it'll help other brothers. I think what you're doing is dope, Prez. I think you're so positive, particularly being in your early 30s, because a lot of 30 somethings out here still running the streets being savage and thotty and whatever else. So it's cool to see um, someone like you being a husband, being a father, being responsible, and I think it's encouraging to other brothers to see like, hey, I can do it too. If he can do that and he's doing all that, why can't I? Or even inspire somebody else to want to be that and change from maybe who they were previously. So
No, facts. I appreciate that for sure. And before we get to that conversation in February, um, and even to get to the my point of men, y'all being liberated to be able to express yourselves to women, to family members, to whoever, you also we have to figure out how to articulate what we're feeling as well. So
mhm.
the message can sometimes get lost because of the sender. So you got to be able to send your message in a clear, concise way. So that takes some internal work as well. So this ain't just on the women or on your significant other or on whoever you need to be liberated to express yourself to. You got to be able to know how to express as well. So that was another thing that I had to figure out, is like maybe how I'm giving my message isn't the way that I can give it in order for it to be received. And then that then if I figure out how to send it the correct way, I might get what I want. So it's all give and take. And I think we have a responsibility, y'all have a responsibility, and if everybody takes accountability for their responsibility, we'd be straight.
Okay, so one last question. When you did that press, where did you see air delivery? And then second question, what did you do to change the delivery?
Um, I think my delivery came from, or my lack of effective delivery came from tone, and came from, because I'm pretty good at it, like the words I use. So it wasn't that I wasn't clear with what I needed to express, but I think tone is a big deal. Just being in time and place too. So like every moment isn't a good moment to express yourself. So like sometimes it might be take a walk real quick, pray about it real quick, and then come back. And that way you can express yourself the right way. And a lot of times it's okay, you don't seem like you're in a position to receive what I need to say, so we can talk about this later. And that comes with maturity, that comes with emotional maturity, and just maturity altogether. But I think a lot of that was, a lot of my problem was, I want to be heard, and I want to be heard now,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be heard however I'm speaking. And I needed to be able to change that, um, and learn different environments. A lot of times, like, we raised differently, so what could be a trigger for somebody is not a trigger for me. Like, just for instance, like I'll mention like yelling, and like in my family, we can yell at each other, and then we good like, yeah, yeah, no, 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 no. And we don't take any offense to it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if I, like, maybe my wife would, in her household, yelling was a trigger. And so, or maybe a previous relationship, yelling was a trigger. And so maybe that was why it wasn't being received. So I had to switch that up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even though I don't ever mean to, you know, cause any triggers or cause any trauma. I'm just, I'm just expressing myself how I was raised to express myself.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that has to go into it too. And that's really what I mean by, like, you gotta do some work too with how you, in the channels of which you're expressing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do that work, then you might not ever be heard, and you might not ever be free. So I had to do a little bit of that work too.
That's good. And when you were mentioning yelling, because I know for a lot of women, um, that kind of will shut us down. As far as it's like, oh, he's yelling at me, and maybe it's not so much as far as him yelling at you. It's just how he communicates,
Right.
especially being in the world of sports and that aggression and how
Exactly.
that can come
I'm a
across.
coach. I
Yeah,
yell.
yeah. What you doing? What
Clapping too. Yeah.
Get your Deion Sanders on,
Yeah.
give me my theme music. But it's just like just having to figure out who you're with. And it goes back to what we were talking about before, having those talks, communicating, so that way you kind of get that backstory, not to get the backstory to um manipulate, or I'm trying to get this to you so I can figure out how to maneuver and use this later to my advantage, but really getting the backstory so you understand that person's origin, or their prequel, as I call it. So then you understand, oh, so let me do this because you're being sensitive to maybe their past or something they've gone through. So
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
cool. That's what's up. So I cannot wait to have you back in February with Seals. I'm super excited about this conversation that's going to go down. I think it's going to be amazing. So before anything else, just out of the conversation, Press, what are you think maybe some takeaways that people can get from this conversation, and also what's new your way, and then where people can reach you on social media?
A couple takeaways. Be able to take accountability when a man is expressing themselves. Don't run straight to the defense.
Mhm.
But men, be able to express what you want to get off, in a way that can be received, so that you can get what you want. out of that conversation, and then reconcile. Make sure you reconcile, whatever that means to y'all. Make sure you reconcile. So that's my takeaways. But I am excited about what's new in my life. Like I said, I just opened a new gym here in Darien, Georgia, which is in McIntosh County, Georgia, which is in like the coastal Georgia area. A little bit. I'm 30 minutes from Brunswick, where Ahmaud Arbery was killed. So, or 20 minutes from Brunswick. So right in that area, same area. Really looking to do a lot in this community. They don't have a lot, as far as outlets, as kids don't have a lot to do out of school and all that. So I opened this gym to be able to provide that. It's 20,000 square feet, have a gym.
What's the name of the gym?
Mack Academy.
Okay.
So we have a basketball court and 11 classrooms. So we just opened last week. So I'm still getting everything together, but we plan on doing leagues, tournaments, camps, clinics, mentorship. My classrooms, there's a couple rooms that can be podcast studios, recording studios. I have a media room in there. If you need, meeting space, there's rooms that can be dance studios. So I want it to be all encompassing of our community and be really used as a community center that's privately owned. So we don't have to deal with any of
the politics of it all. Yeah.
And so that is like the most recent thing. Of course, we have the Coastal Georgia Buccaneers. So if you're in the Georgia area and you want to come to a professional basketball game, if you're too far from Atlanta to go to see the Atlanta Hawks, or you're too far from Orlando to go see the Orlando Magic, you can come see the Coastal Georgia Buccaneers. Or if you can't afford either of those, my tickets are $10. So pull up, come watch some really good basketball. Other than that, do I have anything else going on? Just follow
the academy, is that on Instagram?
I am actually literally in the middle. I just finished our website. It's macacademygym.com.
Make sure you tag me so that way I can share that on Good Black Men and repost for you guys.
Yeah, I'm doing I'm doing the Facebook right now, because you gotta have Facebook first before you do Instagram, and then I'm doing the Instagram. Most likely it'll be at Mack Academy Gym.
Okay.
So yep, and then the team is CG Bucks, at CG Bucks, and of course my tags is at pmac.sportspro, pmac.sportspro, I think it is. And then there it is. And on Twitter I'm Good Pass P, because I drop good passes from time to time.
Starting more conversations. There we go. Good. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Again, thank you for just dropping by and sharing and having the liberty to feel free to open up and express here. I hope those that tuned in, you got something from this conversation. And if you didn't, we are going to work harder, because I feel like there are some good gems in this conversation. So yeah, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Camille.Essick. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell. That way you know when we're going live. Prez, make sure that you use your coupon code GBM15, that we can save 15% at the checkout, and shop with me and get all the merch at Good Black Men Official right there on Instagram, and GBM Official online. That way you can shop with me. Thank you, Tammy. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, I think that's about it. So next week, my girl Whitney Victoria, she's coming through. So that's that's gonna be live, right?
Yeah.
Whitney, she is a whole vibe. So yeah. Again, thank you everyone. I hope you guys be blessed and have a good night. And it's been the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Good night. Peace.